Okay. So I forget that it doesn't automatically go to groups anymore.
That's what I'm doing right now.
All right. So topic of conversation today is stay in your lane. And we're giving Michelle a pass because apparently it's her wedding anniversary today.
That's awesome.
So she won't be here.
As well, she should not. Whenever it comes time to book clients' next appointment, and they're like, "What about such and such?" And it's my wedding anniversary. I'm like, "Well, we could, but I'd like staying married."
Okay.
Fair enough.
Good thing.
That's fair.
So we're discussing staying in your lane, and I don't see anyone jumping in to start the conversation here.
Well, okay, I'm going to jump in and say something because I think that can have negative connotations.
Yep.
And I just want to say we don't really mean it that way. We don't mean it to have negative connotations. We mean it in, okay, and I'm a speaker, the classes I give, I feel confident giving. I would never go, I'm going to teach y'all how to do the perfect Bichon head.
There is a reason why I speak business and not demos. Like I'm a good pet groomer. I don't do all the fancy stuff.
Well, and the demos I do are everyday pet grooming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think I do the fancy stuff either.
Right.
Well, yeah. I've always said that if I did a class on Bichon heads, the entire class would be a list of other speakers and their websites.
Uh-huh.
A whole thing, like just YouTube, right? Like videos. Here you go. Follow these.
Yeah, follow these. These are really good. These are the
Follow
class.
these videos.
Why are you in this class? You know? But I think sometimes that can be a little hard to recognize that we do have expertise and that we speak on our expertise and not try to be everything to everybody.
It's hard. It's hard because I know I fall into the rut of I know I can do anything that I put my mind to. So it's focusing on, yes, right? Like I can take it all on because I know I could succeed at it for the most part. I could not be a surgeon or something, but
now that's negative thinking. If you really did it, if you dedicated your life
that is true.
Being a surgeon and you went back to school, I think you could do it.
That is true. True story.
But yes, when I have my good moments, I'm like, I can do the perks of coming from a family with a history of bipolar issues. When you're feeling good, you're like, I can do anything I set my mind to. And when you're feeling bad and the imposter syndrome hits, it's like, should I even be allowed to groom dogs?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So yes, we're not looking at it as a negative.
No.
No, I don't think so too. And I think sometimes you realize, well, in order for me to really do this, it means I need to do more education on it. And for me, it's like, well, I don't want to learn how to do that.
Right. I quote you all the time, Mary, when you say you're 15. If I can't do it in 15 minutes, I'm paying somebody.
Yeah, seriously.
I quote it all the time. I'm like, here, do what Mary does. I personally have not learned that lesson yet, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it took a while to really learn that lesson. Okay. And I'm not sure what was the last straw. And it was probably trying to fix something up on my website. And this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I don't know how to do this. I have just spent 6 hours on tutorials. Okay. And I haven't gotten anywhere. Do you know what I could do in 6 hours?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even if the answer to that question is do nothing, it was more productive than the time I spent trying to learn something, that was, I don't know if it was beyond me. It was boring me. Okay. The tutorials weren't well written. It doesn't matter what the reason is. All right. I just wasted 6 hours of my life, and I swear I would never waste 6 hours again. And then it went to, well, if I can't figure it out in an hour, okay. And then that got old really, really fast, So now it became 15 minutes. If I can learn something in 15 minutes, okay, I could also take a look at the task and go, oh, I already know this is going to take me more than 15 minutes, and I am never, ever going to do this ever again. So we're going to hire someone. Though one time, for those with websites and newsletters, okay, there was something called DMARC, okay, and you got the notification that you have to fix something on your website in conjunction with your newsletter, okay, in order to be compliant. And you didn't have to do it.
Compliant with what?
With what? Good question. I wish I had an answer for you. All right.
I don't
But
like compliance generally unless it's malicious.
Yahoo and Google decided they were not going to send out emails that you sent and hit the word send on in your newsletter if there wasn't some sort of code from your website to the what do you call it, to the email server, so that they knew you were a legitimate website and not a scam site.
So the thing stopping scam sites from putting that line of code in their newsletter is what exactly?
Yeah, and probably more equipped to do that. Okay. One of my websites, I pay, this is again, where you get what you pay for. And one of my websites I pay a lot of money for. And they're like, oh, no problem. We will handle this for you. And the other one is a bargain basement website. I had to do it myself. And because it was so new, I couldn't hire someone. I couldn't say, can somebody do this for me? Because everyone else is scratching their head doing it. So I did it for the other website. It took me a lot of time, and you couldn't hire me to do it for your website. I was just.
Mary, we know someone who does really nice websites and maintenance.
Yeah, Angie, don't even look at Angie. She wanted to know nothing about it. But anyway. So
I take staying in your lane as focus. Like, I think it's like a focus thing, not a negative thing, but a focus thing. Know what you're good at.
And two, people have things, and it's not saying that you can't go beyond because most people know me for rabbits. Some people know me for cats. Other people know me for salon sanitation. It doesn't mean you can't go beyond those things. Others know me for training the neurodiverse employee. It doesn't mean you can't go beyond those things, but if you haven't studied something, like I am by no means going to teach people how to do creative grooming, because no. No. The sum total of my creative grooming is I can paint nails and do nail art. I'm good at that. Did it every month on Adobe for years. I can, with one color ears and a tail. That's it. Ta-da!
But I think sometimes people don't realize they are no longer in their lane and don't know enough about what they're talking about to realize they're wrong.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens often. I think that happens often. People don't know what they don't know, and they're just kind of shooting from the hip. And it's like,
because then how do you correct someone without coming off like an ass? Which is the problem. Like, especially once you get to a certain level, it's like, well, how do you tell your peer, So close,
but not close
but
enough.
no.
All right. And I think that also speaks to the person themselves too. Okay. So
Yeah.
if I say something in class and somebody corrects me, okay, I'm going to listen to the correction. Okay. I might even do a little bit more homework on it. Okay. But I'm not going to disregard somebody telling me something that I think is correct. I think what I'm saying is absolutely correct, and they're telling me I'm wrong. Okay. Tell me why I'm wrong and give me resources and links so I can go and read something and change my mind. And I have done that.
Mhm.
It's being open to learning and open to realize that, you're not the be all end all. Right. Right.
And it can make you angry. There are scientific words for it. Like when you believe something to be true and someone is like, no, that's actually incorrect. I forget the scientific word. It's not cognitive dissonance, I don't think. There's another word for it. For example, George Washington had wooden teeth. Well, not really. He may have had a set of false teeth that were made out of wood, but if someone told you that he had various sets of dentures that were made out of bone and animal teeth, and where they got human teeth at the time was not from a fun place that we don't want to think about George Washington, and that word even in the same sentence, even though he owned people, but we don't want to think about that because he's a
Largely, they came
national
from
hero.
dead people.
Yes, yes. It's not
Dentists
like
would buy
that.
teeth
Yes.
of the dead because they're dead and they don't need them anymore. And grave robbers would bring them the jaws
Hmm.
of dead people, and dentists would make teeth from them.
So that's like early.
There's my dinner. Because it's one thing picturing a skeletal jaw. So, but you said grave robbers. So now I'm just
Yep,
Thanks.
yep. It was a thing.
Thanks.
Sorry. Yeah, that's where most dentures were created from. They were created from the teeth of the dead.
That makes sense, though. I
It
mean, like,
does.
it makes total sense.
The only problem is that when they were implemented, they were put on a metal plate.
Hmm.
The metal plate was made of lead.
Oh,
So
well,
the poorer class had a lead plate that would snap in to their mouth. The George Washington's was lead and silver because lead over time rusts. So they need to be replaced more often.
Mm.
And they, in the original, what was it? What movie was it with the crazy person who was clacking their teeth?
Oh,
Help me out here.
oh
Not a movie buff, but I know you know what I mean.
no!
The clacky clack, 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 clack,
Where
clack,
it's
clack.
in their mouth and they're like,
Mhm. Yes, it's
I,
that's because of lead poisoning drove them crazy,
well,
and
there's a
that's why that was a thing.
efficient. I should just fire up the soundboard for this too because we have a tangent alert. Also, mercury, lead, and mercury were in, and they were in a lot of the cosmetics.
Yes, and well, I mean, when I was a kid, they were still doing mercury fillings.
Well, yeah. So there was they were, yeah, same. They were still doing the mercury fillings,
Uh,
but there was so much lead in cosmetics. Like,
oh, driving the ladies nutto. Yeah,
well, it's not only that too. There were other poisons in makeups. There was like
Mm.
arsenic.
oh yeah.
Um, some of the colors from they would ground up metals. So you had
Yes.
cinnabar,
Mhm.
malachite, all of which are highly toxic.
Yeah.
I like to watch.
Apparently.
I like to watch archaeological shows, and I think that one of the things I got from those shows is that I'm going to be cremated.
Oh yeah,
Uh-huh.
Seriously,
absolutely.
you're not digging up my body for a TV show.
Mm.
I don't know, 1,000 years into the future, discussing the health in my diet.
Yeah. Mm.
No,
Even if it helps them learn and understand.
no, no. Seriously.
Apparently, poisonings I can eat through, not a problem.
Yeah, no. I'm just
I'm like, let
just
me
going to be
finish up my dinner while I can.
seriously scatter me to the wind.
I would like to be powder as well. Thank you. Yes.
Just saying.
I've seen enough of those shows to go, ooh, no.
Or want to be in a jar in some lab, part of my body. No.
Oh, we've gone so far off the rails already. Why not just take one more exit?
Drive right off cliff, Chris.
Right off the cliff. What about the green burials? What about like just you in a biodegradable sack and a tree planted over you
Oh,
so the
yeah.
tree slowly eats you?
Well, here's the problem with that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
While that is a good idea, in certain boggy areas, what that will actually create is a mummy, and then you're going to end up under glass in a museum. So I'm out.
I will haunt the heck out of some museum. I am all now. They don't have those in boggy areas. They only have certain and they call them like memorial forests.
It's climate change. Things are changing. Who's to say that that oak tree in my backyard that I'm going to be buried under
Isn't going to become a bog, because I guarantee you the mummies that didn't realize they were going to be mummies, who were actually victims of murder in Ireland,
Yes,
who were thrown into,
the bogs.
but they weren't bogs then.
Mm.
And then they became bogs, and now they're in a museum.
Well,
So,
this is a fun
hard pass.
grooming
I
related.
know, right?
You
It's a
know
nice
what?
history lesson.
Although, you know what? Honestly, I was all for being cremated, and now I'm like, I could be a bog witch, like literally.
Yeah.
Can I just say I'm really happy that we're gonna see, like, all of us are all gonna be together this week. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had to say that.
That's very exciting.
All of us, and including Michelle,
I know.
who I'm rooming with at Colorado, we will all be at Colorado.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Excellent.
And since Michelle is not here,
Yes.
Yes.
she's here in spirit. So, yeah. So Michelle is with us in spirit tonight, because she'll be with us in person later in the week at
I love
Rock
it.
Mountain. So there's Michelle,
I
Alright.
theoretically have some of her products
and she's nodding. Yes.
Mhm.
somewhere very nearby that I can't find. And by the way, if you heard a thump, that is because I opened my drawer to look for the dewdrops. And my dog, who was settled nicely chewing a rawhide, went, "That's where the treats are," and banged his head because
So
that's where the
Kayla
milk
is
bones
going
are.
to be at Colorado. It'll be nice
I'm
to
so excited.
Woo!
hair done for Colorado.
I got mine done too.
Oh, your hair
Mhm.
looks much better, Mary.
I know, right?
You
I
know
was
what?
getting-
Thank you for pointing that out, because it didn't click, because that's how I'm used to seeing your hair.
Yeah, I fired my hairdresser, who I was very happy with, but she's also very flaky. And she flaked out on me again because I like to get my hair done just before a trade show because it's nice and fresh.
Yeah, as one does.
As one does. And to get to her place was a 45-minute drive,
Mm.
a 45-minute drive back, and that half hour of waiting, where is she? 2 hours of my time. So I was so mad. I drove into Squim, which is now local to me, and I walked into the first place that was open, looked decent, and said, "Hey, can you do vivid colors?" "Oh, I love vivid colors. Nice. When's your next availability?" "Oh, I could do you on Saturday." "I will be here."
Perfect.
So, and I guess that kind of also brings up a point about respecting time goes both ways.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
So
It does.
customers that need to be on time for their appointments, yes, we need to not cancel last minute, but at the same time, as a service provider, you can't do that to them as well.
Mm-mm.
And we do have to make allowances for.
I made allowances for her. She's
No, I
Oh
know,
no,
but
this was like her third or fourth strike.
Yeah.
This was not even her first.
no, but I mean, like, as service providers, we need to make allowances for snowfall and things like this.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
You cannot hold someone at fault for not wanting to drive, especially an elderly client, for not wanting to drive in what may to you seem like not a lot of snow, but their
them,
reflexes are not what they used to be.
Their eyesight is not what they
Their
used to
eyesight
be.
is not what they used to be. And if they call you on day of and go, "I didn't realize it was going to snow. I can't drive in this." We have to be understanding that when they say they can't, they physically can't.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick for Kayla. Kayla, while we're chit-chatting here, what classes are you planning on taking in Colorado? We want to know.
And
Hiring
not
manager,
because
yeah.
you have several instructors here who are like, "Are you taking my
We're all
class?"
going, "She's my class."
I mean, maybe, but no.
All
So
right,
we
so
scared her.
Typed that out. I'll finish my
So
thought.
I have to say, Angie, with that whole what I started doing, it made me put it into a different perspective. If I enforce, let's say, my no-show policy, or I changed, I was going to charge them, and they had to come because they couldn't afford to add in whatever, and something happened, that's on me. Like, I could not live with myself if something happened on their way with bad weather.
Okay. And let me give you an example from hours ago. This just happened today, and we talk a lot about at least a bit on the podcast. And Mary and I are both doing stuff about making your business ergonomic and make it work for you.
mhm.
So during my first call, or during my first stop of the day, my mother calls me, and I make the exception, and I always answer the phone when she's calls because I don't know what could happen. So she called and she's like, "Oh, the eyeglass place called. My glasses came in." I'm like, "Great. I might be able to run pick them up and drop them off to you." "Well, I think I can tell my phone how to get there, and I think I can get there." Which in theory was correct. However, both of us decided, not putting a lot of detail, that we would both be less stressed if I just got her and took her to get her glasses picked up. Now, as I was texting my second appointment of the day, and I go, "Oh, she didn't confirm the day before. She always texts me. Let me call her and make sure." And she's like, "Oh my God, I had it down for next Tuesday. I'm so sorry. I don't know why the cleaning people are here." And I had taken off next Tuesday and Wednesday because I'm just getting back. But now I could go help my mom. And I'm like, "I can do next Tuesday, next Wednesday." And I explained it to her, and she's like, "Totally get it. Totally get it. I'm glad it's good." So things happen because you're going to hit that stage in your life at some point where you're going to need flexibility.
Okay, Pedro is volunteering to be the CPR dummy. Now, I'm not teaching the first aid class at
I'm
at
not.
Rocky Mountain. That's Melinda who's teaching that class.
Pedro, are you going to be
And-
at Rocky Mountain?
Yeah, I think so. No,
Is he?
are you? Are Pedro? Are you going to be at?
I
Rocky
know.
Mountain?
I just think he's being snarky.
Oh,
Oh,
'cause I
what?
was gonna
Pedro
say,
being a
I
wise
don't
ass?
know any woman that can take his chest and do taco. I'm sorry, I don't know anyone's hands that are that big. So yeah, he's not even going to be there. Silly, but I mean, his chest is like this wide. He has a man chest, and there is no, there's you can't do taco. Just no.
Just
No.
you know what, and it also has a lot to do with your clients too, right? So
Yes.
when I was mobile, Ricky, when I still had Ricky was terrified with storms. Oh my God, he was horrendous. And if my husband wasn't home and a thunderstorm was coming in, somebody needed to be home with him. Right. So I was calling up clients, all right, and saying, listen, I need to reschedule. I have a storm phobic dog. Somebody has to be home for this dog or it's going to destroy my house. Okay. And what made me feel better one time was when someone said, you know what? Don't worry about it. If you don't care about your own dog, how can we expect you to care about ours?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
But
And
that was explaining to the owners again, listen, I'm really sorry. I don't want to cancel on you. Okay. Um, but I also had a lot of storm phone because I specialize in older dogs and I just love the Goldens to start off with. So many of them were storm phobic. And anytime a thunderstorm came rolling in, there were several dogs that I would have to say, I cannot groom your dog today. I am really sorry, but you know your dog is storm phobic.
yeah.
And like right now, I don't know if you can hear it. The thunder is rolling in the background. I just got a tornado warning, not for my area, or I wouldn't be sitting here. um, but yeah, the thunder is rumbling right over the house. So if I just kind of go, poof, it's because we've lost power.
Okay, good
Oh.
to know. Thank you for the warning. Yeah, we have a severe thunderstorm watch here too. So it's getting here.
Yeah, we're using it right now, and you'll get it in just a bit.
But it's down for 9 o'clock, and I was watching today, so it went from no chance of rain to 100% there will be rain. But anyway, on the topic, I would like to introduce the golden rule because we talk a lot about how we want clients to speak to us and address us. And I saw the weather map. I know the one you're talking about, Pedro. Don't post it in the comments. He's going to whatever. Um, basically, somebody's getting the shaft. Uh, literally. But we're as we should be. We should be demand to be treated respectfully and like professionals. However, that goes the same way. Oh, that's why I saw it. I saw it on Pedro's page. Like that goes both ways because I'm not calling anyone out because I did just see one within the past 24 hours. I'm not calling out a specific person because I see it all the time where we'll post screenshots and the groomer will be like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Maybe I'm just old, but a service provider talked to me that way." And I'll be like, it will make me reassess how I spoke to them, but it would also make me never do business with them again.
Mhm.
Because respect goes both ways. If give respect to get respect.
Agreed.
And if you give respect and if you're professional and polite and you take your deep breaths and they still don't respect you, that's when you kick them to the curb. and very nicely say, you know what? I don't think we're a good fit. You seem to be looking for something that I'm not able to give you at this point. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's a list of local salons and mobiles.
Okay, so do we want to add anything in before we hit Angie's weird animal fact?
Yes. If you are ever unsure of the information you are sharing,
Yes.
and even if you are sure about the information you are sharing, verify it before you share it. And I update my classes at least, yeah, I update my classes at least once a year. And I will go through slide by slide and verify every bit of the information therein
If
because science changes, grooming science changes. There are changes every so often. So,
P&P changes. I was just working on a class and I'm like, "Ooh, that's based on old information. Let me verify that from someone still working with the company." And I'm like, "Oh, well, let me just yoink that story entirely because no longer applies."
right. And that's the thing. So we have to go back and verify just to see if what we're saying is current. And I spend probably 2 to 3 hours going through my salon sanitation course every year. Um, my rabbit classes, I'm updating almost monthly because I have a group that's calling me out and going, "What about this?" And I go, "Shh, nope, this is still valid. Still this. This is still the thing." Um, and so, and all of my other classes, it's the same thing. I verify the information before I'll distribute it because science does change, technology changes.
the other thing too, there are a lot of really, really great instructors that are out there, seminar speakers. If you say something and it's not something that you actually teach, but there is someone there who does teach it, you can also verify it with them as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's networking, okay?
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a lovely thing. And
Mhm.
I have asked people in the past who, you know, this is their specialty. Like when I was putting my rabbit stuff together, the first thing I did was reach out to two small mammal vets, one local, and I did a whole interview with her. And I went line by line of what is basically the core of my rabbit material. And she was lovely.
Mary, because I don't know if Angie has talked about this publicly, and I don't think she'll toot her own horn, should I tell the story about what the other vet said? When Angie was writing the book and she contacted a local small animal vet.
Yes,
And
that's a fun story. Go tell it.
I'm not going to tell it as good as Angie, but I don't think she will by how she's blushing furiously and hiding her face. So the receptionist calls her back and said, "Oh, I talked to the doctor." And he's like, "Well, you really should be talking to so and so at this grooming salon because she's like the local rabbit expert." And Angie was like, "That's me." She got referred back to herself as an
Yep.
expert when she was doing research. And I am stupid proud because that is a whole new level.
Yeah, they're like, she's like, "Oh, you need to talk to Angie at Furry Tales, and I'll get your number for you." And I'm like,
Um,
"Ma'am,
man,
ma'am, I am her. She is me. I'm I'm that Angie. That's me." And she's like, "Oh my God, hold on." And put me on hold and went and got Dr. Ford. And Ford came out and he's like, "Hey, Ange, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hi."
hi.
And he's like, yeah, she just didn't know it was you. She said, anytime somebody has a question like that, we send them right on to you. And I was like, that would explain quite a bit.
Okay, so let's wrap things up because we all got to get ready for Colorado. Okay, so we're going to do Angie's weird animal fact. You want to do it or you want me to do it?
I got it.
God, go for it.
Angie's weekly weird fact.
Okay, so most cats don't actually respond to catnip. It's only a few that actually get any kind of high or anything off of it. Cats are lactose intolerant. They can't handle milk because it gives them diarrhea. And additionally, the chub, hold on, let's go back to that. I was about to cough and trying not to. So the chub on a cat's belly is called a primordial pouch. It isn't just chub, it actually has a purpose. So it protects them in fights because it adds a fat layer so that should they, you know how cats use the back legs and they scratch, should they get kicked in the abdominal area, it won't end up cutting into the organs. It will actually stay in the chub, which of course will heal much quicker. It serves as extra reserves should food sources be low, and it helps with great stretch extension when they're hunting. So it gives them a little bit more distance.
Angie's weekly weird fact.
And I was explaining that to one of my cat clients because my cat clients stay in the room with me. And I explained that he's like, oh yeah, he's got the big fat belly. And I said, no, this is actually his primordial pouch and there's not a lot of fat in there. And he was like, and I explained what it was about, just like I explained to you. And he's like, I'm telling my wife, this is my primordial pouch. That's what this is. This is my primordial pouch. And he's like, I love that. We both have one, buddy. And I was like, okay.
Well, you know what? Wait. He's not altogether wrong, because I did have a yoga instructor tell me that too much of that, like, you know, not just the 6-pack, like you see people with like the 18-pack and all of that stuff. That's not terribly healthy. Now, Pedro, you have an excuse to eat a bigger sandwich, but
Pedro's lost his primordial pouch.
yes, he's lost his pouch.
Cold.
But you need a little fat protecting those organs. So yes, it could theoretically, depending on the size of his primordial pouch, protect him from a stab wound or a slashing wound, depending on how deep it was. So see, and if he got sick, he had extra weight to lose.
Reserves.
And he's got reserves. So no, we're fine. Fine.
And women technically should have more body fat than men. Women should have at least 18% body fat in order for their hormones to actually function properly.
So I'm just an overachiever.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not responding to that,
So
Pedro.
we're just gonna call it
Going.
Moving it along. We'll be here next week, and maybe with the 5 of us being at Colorado, maybe we'll sneak in a live stream.
Oh, absolutely. That's something. We're going to be going live.
Actually, aren't we like obligated to do that?
Yes.
I mean, the podcast stuff is going to be recorded. It will be recorded live. It's not going to be aired live, so we need to do some type of actual live.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I'm just saying, we're all going to be there.
I know.
All right,
That
so
would be the best
we'll
way.
see everybody in a couple of days then.
Yeah.